You want to see what awesomeness looks like? Here it is in human form. It's your boy Kuzma! Alola! How's it been, fellow trainers? Last year I covered my favorite Pokemon from the first 6 generations to celebrate the 20th anniversary of gaming's favorite little pocket monsters. Well, Nintendo dropped a bombshell on us around that time, the first look at Pokémon Sun and Moon. And now, 1 year after that list, and 4 months after the advent of quite possibly the greatest generation yet, I think it's time to visit the Alola region again, and luau it up with my 10 favorite Pokemon of Generation 7. Just like before, I've got different reasons for liking each Pokemon, whether it's design, lore, battle capabilities, or whatever. Also, I'm not including Alola forms, but I might make a smaller list for those later on if enough people ask for it. And for the record, I don't battle competitively, so if you're from Smogon, I apologize in advance if I say something that doesn't make sense to you. One last heads up, there are going to be story spoilers on this list. Anyways, potion stocked, Rotom deck's fully powered, and it's game time! Remember Surskit from Gen 3, the first water bug type that evolved into an unoriginal and unimpressive bug-flying moth? Well, I feel as though Araquanid is Surskit's original concept only fully realized. Based on the Diving Bell Spider, Araquanid was my water type prior to my clearing the second Grand Trial, and in all honesty, it served me well during that time. To be fair, it's not exactly the most viable, its stats on the surface are more focused on defense than offense, its move pool isn't exactly stellar either, resulting in a certain level of predictability, and it functions more as a water type than a bug type. Still, it's got some cool qualities about it. First off, that design. It's got a mix of exotic and sci-fi to it. Heck, that bubble looks like it could pass for an astronaut's helmet. Calling me ready to blast off again, unless I get carried off by a Beware or something, I don't know. Also, coming back to what I said about it being better as a water type, set it up right and it could be one damn good water type. That astronaut helmet gives it an ability that halves fire damage, prevents burning, and, get this, doubles the power of water type moves, on top of stab! And with Water Absorb as its hidden ability, whew, that's crazy. Look out! Here comes Araquanid! I'm not gonna lie, Gen 7 had probably one of the best sets of starters yet. I find value in all 3 of them. Case in point, I can't remember the last time we've had a grass starter as loved as this precious little cinnamon roll of a Borb. Oh my god, I just want to hug this thing, it's so adorable! Alright, let's just say this. There's a reason there's so much cute fan art of Rowlet all over DeviantArt. This simple little design of a round baby owl is just too precious for words. And that little leaf bow tie, oh, just call me an ambulance right now, my heart can't take it! Come on, Cutie, snap out of it, you've got work to do. Alright, okay, what can it and its evolutions do? Well, about what could be expected for an offensive grass type. Its stats are reasonably balanced with the exception of speed, a stat which is generally lacking in many of the newcomers. Its move pool is not too bad, with moves like Leaf Edge early on and the Forest Robin Hood that is Decidueye having a signature move that prevents the opponent's escape on top of Ghost-type damage. Strangely though, its middle evolution, Dartrix, seems to have a bigger obsession with its hair than Josuke. On a side note, if you want some feel-good tweets on your Twitter, let me point you to the Rowlet bot. All the small boops and warm wiggles you can handle. Speaking of grass types, hello Ojo-sama! There were a good number of grass types in Sun and Moon, but the haughty and elegant Tsareena had my recommended daily allowance of whoop-ass. The final evolution of the cute and sweet-smelling Bounsweet, based on the Magosteen, known as the Queen of Fruits, it only reaches the final stage when a Steenie levels up when it knows Stomp. This form of evolution is unusual, shared by 8 other Pokemon, but given what this fruity noble is capable of, well, I can say it makes sense. These legs are made for kicking, and that's just what they'll do. With a move pool that includes its signature Trop Kick, type coverage with moves like High Jump Kick, and stat moves like Captivate for all those boys, yeah, this thing's female only. It can make pretty good use of that hard-hitting attack stat. As if that Berry Crown didn't make it royal enough, it's got an ability called Queenly Majesty, which stops priority moves colder than Curum's Icy Glare. And I can say that Tsareena has a design to match its style. That berry crown, those long flowing leaves, the mangosteen skirt, legs for miles. Yeah, the guys knew exactly what they were doing. They gave this lady the full-on Ojo-sama treatment. All we need now is the laugh. There! Perfect! Nebby! Alright, I fully admit that memes may have played a small role in my placing of Cosmog on the list, but this is a Pokemon that I mainly love for its design and concept alone. Well, as it is originally, that's quite literally all it has. I mean, its space stats are total trash, its move pool consists of a whopping 2 moves, and even when it evolves into Cosmoem, at level 43 mind you, it only gains a single additional move. But come on, this thing is too adorable! Those beady little eyes, that wispy outer space body, it would be so huggable if it weren't made of space dust and my arms would just go through it and I'd be all sad. Oh, did I also mention that it's the seed of the first ever legendary evolutionary line? Yeah, at level 53 it goes from a 1-ton burden to the mascot legendary of the day. But yeah, again there's the plot that's in play here. Namely, Lily and the Cosmog named Nebby that keeps getting out of that damn bag. Throughout the story, I smiled every time Nebby showed up. That adorable little smile on its face just made me squeal a little inside every time. Lily's bond with this little guy was also especially heartwarming, and the connection between Lily, Nebby, and Lusamine was a huge driving force for Lily's development, so that gets some points as well. Be free, little guy! No bag can hold you! Let's face it, Game Freak knows how marketable Pikachu is. It's why we've had all these Pikachu clones. Every generation starting with Gen 3 has had at least one, and, well, aside from a few special cases, they're nothing special. However, Gen 7 gave us something different. A deconstruction of the trope. A lonely soul that's become one of the most beloved of the entire generation. Mimikyu has evoked a wide range of emotions, from fear, to fascination, to, oh, I want to give this little guy a hug! There's 2 reasons for that disguise. First off, its true form is weakened by sunlight. Second, it's terrifyingly lonely because of the mystery of its true appearance. Apparently someone who saw what was under there flat out died from the shock. Wow, is it really that terrifying? Hard to make friends like that. So, hey, Pikachu's popular, right? Poor little spook probably figured that looking like our little electric mouse would make it more friends. Well, guess what? It worked. But maybe not for the intended reason. Oh hey, it's also good in battle. That disguise gives it a shield against any single hit, meaning it has at least a turn without fear. Set up your stats to take advantage of your move pool, open up a trick room for business and let your slow as fuck tag partner go to town, or hey, if you really want to open up with a bang, how about a Z move? Again, for free. If this little guy wants a friend, I'd be all too happy to oblige. Except for Jess's Mimikyu, that thing's a hateful edgelord. One thing I noticed in playing Sun was the presence of the number 4, as our so-called cousin of a professor made abundantly clear. 4 islands, 4 trainers in the local battle royale, and of course the 4 island guardians. And standing atop these freaky tikis is a rooster who has every right to be crowing. Witness the might of the great Tapu Koko! From the moment this electric fairy deity of destiny was revealed, I knew that this was one Pokemon I wanted to get my hands on. With a bright and intimidating crest, colorful gauntlets capable of protecting it from aggressors, and a glare that could cut through stone, yeah, Game Freak nailed the design here. And it also has some interesting lore behind it. It's the guardian of Mele Mele Island, yeah, but it won't simply protect just anyone. That being said, it does have a rather curious nature, which probably explains why it's so interested in someone like Ash. It also helps that it has attack stats hovering around the 100 mark on both ends, as well as being the fastest fairy type to date. It also comes packing some wicked support for its fellow electric types with its devastating ability, Electric Surge, which coats the field in electric terrain. This grants electric type moves an additional 50% power, plus sleep negation for your battery battalion. Granted, there are some gaps in its move pool. The best fairy type move it can learn is Dazzling Gleam, and it does get countered by ground and grass, but most other threats will face severe judgment. Oh, Tapu Koko, I do love that voodoo that you do. Sweepers are all well and good, but sometimes you just need a Pokemon that can take as well as it gives. That's where Mudsdale came in for me. Simple designs have been a thing since day one, and in a lot of cases, such as Mudsdale, it works to the Pokemon's advantage. In this case, Game Freak took one of those Clydesdale horses, you know, like in the Budweiser commercials, and covered it in mud from head to hoof. That mud makes its kicks more powerful, enough to reduce a truck to a pile of wrecked scrap in a single blow. Damn, Guess there's one horse who got salty about the rise of automobiles. Good thing ride pages are a thing now. Granted, it's about as slow as the tank that it is, but what it lacks in speed, it makes up for in physical prowess and defense. Packing a solid base attack of 125 to support those slick kicks, it has access to stab high horsepower and earthquake for those pesky rock, fire, and electric types. However, its real status as a tank comes from its defenses. Yeah, base defense of 100 and special defense of 85 might not seem too spectacular, but it has one hell of an ability. Stamina raises Mudsdale's defense by 1 stage every time it takes a hit. Have a tank a multi-hit move, and good luck doing much physical damage with anything it's not weak to. Granted, its move pool is rather limited, hindering its competitive viability, but with the right setup, it can take a licking and keep on ticking. And considering it weighs over a ton, Heavy Slam was made for Pokemon like Mudsdale. What's that? You're gonna spam minimize? That's funny. They came from another dimension. They defy all logic. They transcend all power. They are the Ultra Beasts. 7 extra-dimensional terrors that have been unleashed upon the unsuspecting Alola region and are now wreaking havoc upon the Pokemon world. Yup, the aliens have landed alright, and one happened to land on my list. Behold the wrath of UB04 Blade, Kartana. What? This puny little thing? Only a foot tall and tied for the absolute lightest Pokemon on record? Yeah, its design is cool based on origami good luck charms, but that hardly looks like something out of sci-fi. Besides, when you have behemoths like the imposing Celesteela and the terrifying Guzzlord, why would anyone want to use this scrawny little— What the fuck? I know firsthand how painful paper cuts can be, but imagine a paper cut across your carotid artery. Yeah, that's how strong Kartana can be. This Origami Samurai is packing the highest base attack of any non-Mega, clocking in at a ludicrous 181, not even counting the beast boost it gets whenever it cuts an enemy down. Even with most of its moves failing to break 100 base power, if you don't have bulk to counter it, one hit from Sacred Sword or X-Scissor or, God forbid, Leaf Blade could well bring you to your knees. And hey, it actually has a speed stat in the triple digits, plus a solid defense. Though I would be remiss if I didn't say that Kartana sorely needed it. Point is, Kartana is an absolute menace, and once it gets going, there is absolutely no stopping it. Just hit it with a powerful special attack. It just crumples like paper. GG, Kartana. GG. Considering how much I gushed over the adorable Grass Orb earlier, some of you may have thought that I picked Rowlet. What have I told you all about assuming shit? The truth is, I am a proud Team Litten, for one important reason. And you have no idea how hard it is for me not to resort to another meme right now. Y'all smell what Incineroar is cooking? Yeah, well, it's probably you, because the final evolution of Little Kitty Senketsu is bringing the heat in the form of a heavy-hitting fire-dark feline bruiser. When Incineroar steps into the ring, you know he's ready to rumble. Taking inspiration from the antagonistic wrestlers known as heels, this tiger comes packing some seriously brutal moves. These include your standard hard-hitting moves like Flare Blitz, Outrage, and Cross Chop, as well as 2 signature moves which can only be seen as fighting dirty. Darkest Lariat bypasses the opponent's stat changes, making a mockery out of double-team spammers, and Throat Chop hits the opponent in the throat so hard that it prevents them from using sound moves for 2 turns. And yet its bio makes me somewhat unsure of whether or not the heal act is just that, an act. On the one hand, its violent and reckless nature often results in opposing trainers and bystanders getting caught in the crossfire, so to speak, and sometimes it won't even listen to its trainer. And yet, it gets low-key happy when children cheer it on, and it won't even bother fighting against weak or injured Pokemon. I guess it's all just a matter of perception. Also, Flame Crotch. Just Flame Crotch. If you saw my list last year, you'd recall that my reason for loving Deoxys so much was mainly due to how fascinating I found it more than anything else. Might be an unusual reason, but whatevs. And as fate would have it, the fascination factor comes into play yet again. So just dress me up in cosplay and call me Owain, because my trainer hand twitches for type Null. Okay, where does Game Freak come up with this stuff? Just what are they on, and where can I get some of that? Because holy shit, if it means I can come up with ideas like this freaky Chimera Pokemon, then point me to their dealer. Don't do drugs, kids. Type Null, alongside its evolution Silvally, takes my number one spot for mainly how its fascinating backstory and lore tie directly into its abilities. You know how scientists in sci-fi are often so absorbed in whether or not they can that they don't consider whether or not they should? Well, when the problem isn't exactly natural, like, say, the Ultra Beasts, then an unnatural solution wouldn't exactly be out of bounds. Having done extensive research on Arceus and its multi-type ability, because, well, if you want to play God, then what better place to start, right? The Aether Foundation pulled some Show Tucker bullshit and Frankenstein together a new species of Pokemon to combat the UBs. The three specimens would be the bearers of a new power called the RKS system, which could make them any type they needed. Except they went out of control and they had to have their powers sealed and be imprisoned in cryosleep. Eventually, one of them was rescued by the Pokemon world's #1 edgelord Gladion, who made it the centerpiece of his entire team. While that restraint device gives it battle armor to protect it from crits, it comes at the cost of low speed compared to its other stats. When it forms a true bond with its trainer, the mask breaks off and it evolves into Silvally, a name given to it by Gladion himself, which makes their bond feel that much more genuine. When its full power is unleashed, it has even stats across the board and access to the RKS system. That and Punishment tie into its purpose as an anti-UB weapon. Its ability to change its own type, as well as the type of its signature multi-attack, can exploit the weaknesses of the beasts, and it can learn Punishment to counter Beast Boost. And with even stats across the board, you can build it up into quite the wild card. At least to an extent. If I have to knock it for something, it's that its move pool isn't diverse enough to make use of all the memories, and its jack-of-all-trades status really does mean that it's a master of none. But you know what? I'm okay with that. Genetic engineering can't give us all the answers, right? You think Game Freak's out of ideas? Yeah, just keep telling yourself that. I'm the Quarter Guy, and I gotta say that Sun and Moon were a breath of fresh air for the series. The island trials in place of standard gym battles, ditching HMs for the ride pager, making your Pokemon and their PC useful, and a cast of characters that's arguably likable from end to end. But for the life of me, I never understood why Zygarde's unique forms were in these games instead of, you know, Pokemon Z. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to pay tribute to Nintendo's 8th generation console. A console whose life was cut tragically short by a lack of third-party support and the progress of video game technology. Hold on, don't tell me I'm the only one attending this goddamn funeral. Next time, top 10 favorite Wii U games. It's game time! Alola! Hope you enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to leave your feedback, as I always take it seriously. If you want to see my other stuff, make sure you click that subscribe button and that little bell if you're on YouTube, or follow me on vid.me. There's also my social media, my Twitch where I support Extra Life, and my Patreon where you can donate to my channel and score some sweet perks. Thanks again, and until next time, this is the Quarter Guy, signing out.